Good morning. Happy How of Happiness morning to you all. I hope that you are off to a great start to the day and to the week. I am here live with you every Tuesday to talk about happiness in a very real, candid way with women in all walks of life, all over the world, doing all different kinds of things. And I'm so excited for today's interview. So I have Dr. Sarah joining me today, who is a Double Board Certified Dermatologist. Yes, it's true. It doesn't even sound possible. It sounds like so amazing and intense, and it's true. And I cannot wait for her to be here with us. So, Dr. Sarah, you already did it. You requested to join. So let's see here on our call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Wendy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I am just about to start the day. I just got to the office and the girls are so happy that they don't have to start seeing patients right now. So let me just figure out how to do this.
Yay.
So, yes.
A little mini joy for them. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thanks for having me. Thank you for just everything that you do for all of us who follow you along.
Oh my gosh, it's my honor and pleasure, and thank you for all the lives that you're changing, including my own father's.
Oh man, how is he?
Funny. He's good.
I miss him.
It's so funny. I mean, just like, so for those of you in the audience that don't know, obviously you wouldn't know, this is how I came to know Dr. Sarah, is through my dad, because he was a patient of hers. And he had just the most unbelievably wonderful things to say about you, which he doesn't have to say about many people. So
he's a very interesting guy. He seems like he's lived about 1,000 lives, and I'm lucky to know him and have been given the opportunity to take care of him. And I know he set us up on a blind date every time we would talk during his whatever melanoma excisions or whatever skin cancer excisions we were doing together. He just always thought that you and I would get along, and that's so weird that here we are. So
it's so funny. I love it.
Yeah.
And congrats on your practice. How long has it been now since you opened this new practice?
This new practice has been open since April 1st, and we're just chugging along now. We have over 2,000 patients now. It's just mind-blowing, and I'm grateful every day to even say that out loud is crazy. But yeah, it's like our 8th month, and so far so good. I mean, there's all sorts of anxieties along the way and issues, but I do feel like I've made the right decision and feel real happy about it. So
yes, absolutely you have. And you're honestly such a role model to so many women out there who, my job is to coach women on designing lives that light them up and make them truly fulfilled and happy. And so many of those women come to me because they feel like they're too afraid to go for it, to go for the dream, to go for the goal, to set higher goals, to really pursue what lights them on fire, because they just fear so much the potential failures or the anxieties that might keep them up at night, or if it's not going to work or who's not going to approve. And you're living proof of just going for it and making it happen. And look at that. I mean, 8 months later, having 2,000 patients, it's an unbelievable story, and you're an unbelievable human. So I'm so excited that we get to hear your story.
Thank you so much. It's scary to this day. I mean, I think that the truth of it is, and if I'm speaking honestly, there's not a moment or a day that goes by that I don't have fear about something, but I've surrounded myself with people that I trust, and I just try to consider I don't know, I was just talking to my husband about this. He's like, well, whenever you're upset or nervous about something, just consider the alternative, you do have to get to a point where you could take a risk, right? Like you can responsibly take a risk. But the alternative is that, I don't like it. I don't find that it's the right fit for me, and I'm unhappy, or, other circumstances I don't have control over take over, like a pandemic or something terrible happens with my health or whatever. There's other unforeseen things that can always happen. But, and in that case, hopefully I have the skill set to, pivot and, just get another job. So for right now, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. And and there are other doctors and business owners who inspire me every day on days that I feel like ill-equipped, to just keep on going. Patients like your dad, like, who have all sorts of business that I interact with regularly, who are retired now, who have all sorts of stories. Oh, I owned a air conditioning business, or I did windows or glass, or, I had a store. Like, I'm inspired so much by just these kind of things because it's all the same struggles.
Yes. Right. And you really choose your discomfort. Either you choose the discomfort of staying the same, or you choose the discomfort of doing something new.
Exactly. Consider the alternative. Like, what is
Yeah.
that my husband told me that just yesterday. He was like, well, what's the alternative? Like, you're going to either deal with this or you'll deal with that. And then,
That's
like,
right.
okay, well,
That's
I
right.
guess it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. And we have to,
No.
something that you've overcome, meaning that you've done it anyway, not that it doesn't haunt you still from time to time, but what you've overcome is letting fear to make the decision for you. So I'm sure when you went off on your own and created this practice for yourself, that there was so much fear about whether or not it was going to succeed or fail and what was going to happen. And you chose to not let the fear make the decision. You chose to let the drive, the desire, the craving, the bigger vision, your future dreams make the call. And then the rest
Right.
of it just either works itself out or doesn't. And like you said, you pivot and figure it out. So it's just a very inspiring story, because I just
Thank
know so
you.
many women that are like holding themselves back from so many things on a much smaller scale than starting
Right.
their own practice in a bigger scale. And it's just a really lovely reminder of like, you're capable
Thank
of
you.
anything you decide to do. It's just a matter of like which discomfort you're going to choose today. The
Yeah.
discomfort of just staying the same and being unhappy, or the discomfort of trying something new and being a little more fearful. But today's really about us just talking about happiness, and for you, just like sharing with our audiences of how you do happiness. Like, you have a very demanding job. You have 3 little kiddos at home. You have a lot going on. You have a house, you have a marriage, you have a lot of energy that's going out into the world, whether it's to your patients or family or friends or coworkers, I'm sure. How do you typically do happiness? Like, do you have any particular practices you do daily or
Yeah,
regularly?
I'm first off, thank you. Like, I don't know if I'm like the most qualified person to talk about happiness, but I am a traditionally happy person. And I, I mean, I think a little bit I has just been bestowed upon me in terms of nature. Like, I think that like my mom is a really like upbeat person, and I just naturally have a lot of energy, and I think I'm just naturally an optimist. So I think for me, there's a bit of nature there, and genetic inclination for whatever it's worth. Like, I think I was just like came out the womb a little bit just like perky or whatever. So maybe that's cheating. I don't know. And then another thing is, like, I'm not happy all the time. Like, that is
Nope.
100%. I mean, I just told you, came right off the bat, I'm like scared or worried about something pretty regularly. And it wasn't until like a few years ago that I feel like I prioritized just like having a hobby. I never really knew how important that was. And so, like, I mean, there's things I enjoy. Like, I enjoy shopping, I enjoy fashion, like, I enjoy like makeup, I enjoy all the girly things in life. But honestly, like, one thing that really, really, really helped me was just like having like something I do every week. And like, I have a really close friend who was like, you should try tennis. And I'm like, I don't, that's ridiculous. I have no, why would I ever do that? And, but I just showed up to a lesson one day, and I had on like leggings and like a ripped t-shirt. And, I didn't even have a racket. And, I just had a really nice coach who just taught me ground strokes. And I mean, that's one very small thing that has like now become a thing that I really do really love. I'm not like really good or anything. I've got my ass beat really bad this week. Am I allowed to say the A
You
word?
say whatever
Sorry.
you want to say. Yep.
But it's come to a point where, I'm just so happy to be like, have something to do and have something of my
Yes.
own. It makes me excited. My husband always, encourages me to continue to do this. Obviously, I'm a better, happier person doing it. It has made me and my business partner like closer friends because we do that together, you know, whenever he's in
Right.
town.
How often do you
So
play now?
I try to go to clinic like once a week. Like sometimes
Right.
that doesn't happen, and you know, I play on like a little country club team on the weekends, and you know, take a lesson here and there just for exercise. So that's like one thing that I think is
Yes.
just like picking something, whether it's like and just sticking with it, whether or not like, and it was just so new that I just was like, you know, an eager student. So that was something that made a
Love
big
it.
difference for me.
And I
And
love that
then
actually you're alluding to this reality that you may choose something that's for you, which I do strongly encourage everyone to do.
well,
Choose a hobby or interest that's just for you. I just took up like
exactly.
lettering, hand lettering. I just took
Oh,
up hand lettering like last
nice
week.
to
I was
know.
like,
That's
oh,
awesome.
let's improve handwriting and practice hand lettering. So now I'm trying to address my Christmas cards with my own
Yes.
handwriting, which I'm like, what was I thinking?
Well, it's truly like meditative, right? Like you just for a moment,
Yes.
there's a few things in life that make you go, yes, or like, woohoo. Like there's few things that as an adult
Yeah.
make you feel like a child again. And I think that, yeah, I think for everyone there's something. And yeah, like I would love to be really like I would really like to have a skill set that is just for me. That's exactly right. That would make me so happy. And I also just come from a place where I don't think there's enough time in my life to do all the things like I want to do. Like now I want to do hand lettering. Like like I would love to do that. That sounds so fun.
Right? It's like
But
little
I just
things. But even like
yeah.
you were saying with tennis, like when we do choose something that's for us or choose something that's a hobby that's intended to bring us joy, it does
Right.
not mean that every time you play tennis, you
No.
absolutely love it and can't wait for the next time. And so that's actually another part of creating joy in our lives that people get confused about. Like if we think about it, we're both moms and we think about when our kids do something they love. A couple of my girls are in dance. My other daughter is in gymnastics. And they don't always want to go to dance. It's not like every time they're like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with dance and I have to be obsessed with it and love it every single time for it to bring joy to my life. But it's
Right.
about overall. Overall, does tennis add value and joy to your life, or is it more of a depleter? You would say like, oh, it's actually something I enjoy, but it
No, I
doesn't
think
mean you're going
you're
to love it
right.
every time.
It's absolutely way beyond like winning or losing. I mean, I definitely like I'm a loser when it comes to tennis right now. But like if you it's just that time, you know, getting ready and then like exercising, being outside, like thinking of nothing else, and then you
Yes.
know, just having that release, whatever release that is. And, you know, like whether I don't say to myself, I'm going to prioritize myself today. It's just already built in.
Yeah.
And so, and I think a lot of, I mean, I was guilty of that. Like it was like, oh, you know, I don't, you know, I need to, I don't think that I can do that. Like, I don't think that I want to spend the money or the time or whatever,
Mhm.
but it's just overall made me just I mean, happier wife and happier mom. And, you know, like it's, you know, my kid, it's just something to talk about with people. And I feel more connected to my patients who have a bunch of skin cancer because they've played so much tennis. Like I'm probably gonna have, you know, like like I need to I think to myself, I need to cover up better myself. So, but yeah, like I think overall it's given me, you know, new friends and something fun
Yes.
to do. So for whatever it's worth, yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
made a
something
big deal.
to focus on, like you said, something different to focus on. Like
Yes.
one of the things that tends to be most depleting for us is to live a life of languishing when you're literally just checking the boxes, going through the motions. Nothing about your day is something you're looking forward to. It's all about just the responsibilities and obligations you have, and becomes more and more as a working mom, as a female in business, as an entrepreneur, as all of the things. It's more and more and more that's tugging at you. And so just having something that's yours is really special. And like you said, when you're playing tennis and it's the only thing you're thinking about, or when I'm practice hand lettering, I have to concentrate so hard on drawing a line. I'm just drawing a line. It's just from the top to the bottom of this little section, but you have to
Right.
concentrate so hard
Right.
because it's
Focus,
all you
like
can think on.
training, retraining your brain to just focus on something and it's right. It's the payoff at the end, right? It's that's what brings. I mean, you talk about happiness. We talk about happiness. Like it's sometimes it's there. It's happiness comes from the payoff of you know it not being great for a while.
Yeah, and even if I go through like 10 cards or whatever I do, and this hand lettering like is not impressive by any means, as long as people can read their names, I'm happy.
Right.
But it's
You
like
still put in the effort.
not, even if it's not attractive or perfect or whatever, it's just the fact that I actually found the joy in just only focusing on one thing and not being caught up in my to-do list or my worries or my thoughts about later. It's just this moment that was almost like frozen in time, that we're allowing ourselves to take space from everything else in life. And so hobbies is a great one. And I love that you mentioned that. Tell us a little bit about like a hard day. Like, you said, and we all would agree, 100% of us, that we're not happy all the time. In fact, there are many, many days that are more in the direction of fear or worry or sadness or whatever, or just kind of like languishing, blah. What is a hard day like for you? And like, what do you typically do to work through a hard day? Like, are you someone who forces yourself out of it? Are you someone who surrenders to it? Like, how do you handle like a tough day?
Gosh, that's a good question. So so a tough day for me would be, well, there's so many, but I guess I'm just like a natural empathetic person. Like my pain is your pain, or I don't. If I feel that you're not in a good space, like I absorb that. It's not easy for me to ignore it, and by any higher business setting, like most leaders would say, oh, you got to pick your battles, or like you don't want to indulge, attitudes that may or may not bring you down too. But I don't subscribe to that. Like at least I still pay a lot of attention to how everyone feels around me, and so that's not a great thing, but it's worked out for me. Like, and so for now, like, and
Mhm.
that must be the people pleaser in me, or just the sensitive person that I am. I don't know exactly, or maybe I just don't have as great of boundaries. But like, like I if people around me aren't good, I find myself also to not be good. So so I try to get to the root of it. Like sometimes I'll schedule a time to talk with someone and be like, hey, is everything okay? Like, my gut feeling is that it's not, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a funk. So like for me, I like to kind of just like get to the root of something. Sometimes that's not the right answer. Like maybe sometimes it's to give someone space. But for me, running a business, like interpersonal things can sometimes be difficult to manage, and that's the truth. But I always want those who work for me or work around me to know I desperately care, and and it's not always easy,
Mhm.
and I recognize how hard it is just to wake up every day and do the same thing every day, and to maybe not feel appreciated, and that I appreciate
Mhm.
so much. And then other things are like sometimes patients don't get better as fast as you want them to, or compliance is an issue, and I care so much about making everyone, like accomplishing our goals, which is to make sure you're happy with, your skin, and that you're healthy first and foremost. And, just close follow up. And again, letting people know, listen, like things aren't going to get better unless we can pick a route, and I'm going to try to stick with you, but you got to listen to me and just get to the root of it. Listen, look, are you scared? Like, do you not trust me, or what are the worries?
Mhm.
How can I make it better? So I think just trying to get to the root of whatever it is, and doing so as quickly and the best way you can, helps me. Like, I don't like to fester in any sort of like awkwardness. I wish I was better at like, like not jumping to, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. Like I think I could be better at that. But yeah, like I don't know, does that I mean,
Yeah,
of course I could jump into a hot bath, and that always works too, at the
I
end
was
of the
gonna say, well,
day.
it's so interesting how you go through hard days actually to connect with others. So if you're
Yeah, I'm
having a
always
tough time, you're trying to find out like what's going on with other people, which I'm sure is just one of the many ways that's reflected in your business, your parenting, your character. And then at the end it's like, yeah, maybe a hot bath would be good. So that's great that there's that idea too of like, well, how does Dr. Sarah take care of Dr. Sarah? Like, let's say there's nothing else going on with anyone else. Everyone's fine. There's some thoughts in your head, but everyone else is fine. Like, how do you move through a tough day if like your mood is sinking or you're feeling discouraged or, it's not about, what if it's not about anyone else?
Right. And that is something that like took me takes a lot of like it takes a lot of coaching from my husband. Like we talk, pretty much at lunch, and then, at the end of the day, and I literally, just even yesterday was like, "Hey, I need some advice. Like, what do I do?" So I lean on my husband a lot. And
Good.
and then also I uh, I do take what I do very seriously. I take the business so seriously, and I care so much, and I'm so grateful to practice the type of medicine that I want to practice, and I love my specialty, but I don't take myself all too seriously. So I think anyone who knows me very well knows that I am totally goofy and like love to joke around. And so, like, as much as I like to feel sorry for myself for like a hot second, I find some way to, deflect and make myself laugh.
Good.
So that, but not taking myself all too seriously and just knowing, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
then, martini here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Martini, laughter, not
Yes.
taking yourself seriously,
Yeah.
leaning on like allowing for support. It's another big one because a lot of times I know there's many women out there that will literally believe that they should be able to do it on their own. They shouldn't need to lean
Oh,
on
yeah.
someone and get support from others. And I love that you're a living proof of like, no, that's like what people in our lives are. One of the many beautiful reasons they're in our lives is to be support to us and we're support to them, and it's helpful to lift us up when we're down.
Yeah, and I think that if it happens enough, like, you start to listen to you come outside of yourself. If the same problem, happens enough, and then you pick the same trusted people's brain over and over again, then usually, for me, at least I can speak for myself, something clicks, and I'm like, all right, well, something has to change, or I'm sick of feeling this way, or this loop is so familiar, I can't deal with it anymore. So then, something will declare itself. But yeah, that's my usual go. Like, talk to my friends, talk to my husband, talk to
Good.
my partner, just talk. This is how I feel right at this moment. Like,
Good.
then someone gives me clarity, or it gives me clarity, or I have a sign. I see a rainbow. I see a bird. I don't know.
Yeah. I love
Something
that.
happens.
I love that reminder, just
Yeah.
like reminding women to give themselves permission to be vulnerable and to share of yourself, even on burden days. Like a lot of women will say to me, well, I don't want to burden anyone else. Like I know they have enough going on. They have a lot in their lives. They're busy. They're not. And it's just, again, when we rob other people of the opportunity to be supportive to
Oh,
us,
that's huge.
it
Yeah.
does such a disservice to our relationship with them and how they actually want to have build intimacy and connection in our relationships. And so I love that you're reminding everyone, just let
Yeah. And
yourself be vulnerable.
I love to be that person for other people too. Like I think I've been in enough situations where either if I don't know, like, well, I'll find you the person that knows. And
Mm,
I think most people, into what you said about not wanting to burden people. I mean, oh, I get that. Like, I never want to be a trouble to anybody,
mhm.
but I think most people want to help. Like, I'm a, like, again, I'm a firm believer that people want to help. I think they do. I think you just have to give them the avenue to, and you'll feel better. I feel better whenever, I just tell someone whatever dilemma I'm in, like whether it's in my own mind or if it's real. That's
Yep.
the step one,
Yeah.
right? To help someone to
Yeah.
whether or not to figure that out. Because many
Yes.
times it's like, oh, well, no, I don't, you just, someone who you trust might be like, you know what? That might just be you imagining that. And they're like, oh, you know what? It might be. So, but yeah,
That's
there
so
are real
good.
problems too. There are real problems too that, like, health problems or like just mechanical problems that can be fixed pretty fast. And a lot of it is maybe just knowing you're not alone.
Yes. It's a huge part of it, not knowing you're not alone. Absolutely. I think that there is, especially since COVID began, so much loneliness and disconnection, and
Oh my
really just
God.
feeling like
Yes.
everyone's on their own island, and, just feeling such a sense of loss in so many ways during this time. So absolutely. I think everything that you're saying is so helpful. Last question before we close for today. I know you have such a busy day ahead, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh God,
Um,
anything. Anytime for
any
you.
tips, tricks, hacks that you use to try and stay positive over the holidays? This is a tricky time for a lot of people, whether it's loss, grief, whether it's feeling frazzled, whether it's just feeling overextended, whether it's bad boundaries, whatever it is, it's a tough time for so many of us. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that's helped you try to stay more positive over the holidays.
Um, yeah, I think that there's a lot of pressure on people during the holidays. I think that it could be really lonely. I think that if that's the way you're feeling, just know that it's just a normal day. Like you don't have to give in to all of it if you don't want to. Just get through it. You'll be okay. And if you are feeling lonely, it's kind of like the theme of the day. I would just reach out to someone because I know there's another person feeling that way,
Mm-hmm.
and just know that like you're not alone. Like connection or disconnection. Everyone has a different thing that they need, and during a time that kind of just seems templated. You just have to do what's right for you. And like, I mean, I probably could stand to disconnect a little bit more. And so everyone has something they need to work on. And I think that, I mean, just holidays can kind of become out of hand sometimes.
Completely.
And yeah, and
Completely.
so we're all thinking that like there's like I don't do elf on the shelf. No, I mean I'm so impressed with everyone who does, but that's like way too much for me to do. And like there's so many get-togethers and presents and things. Just knowing what really matters and just doing what's right for you. And
Mm-hmm.
just another thing is just take yourself out of a situation. And sometimes what helps me is to just to give something, whether it's like if do something nice for somebody else. It could be very little. It could be anonymous. It could be very big. But that's just like instant, like get you out of your funk. Like do something
Yeah.
nice for somebody else.
Yes, that's a great idea. I really, really love the thought you just shared, and I will share it with my audience. And please continue to share it with people as you see in your practice that may be feeling lonely or pressured on the holidays. I love this idea that you said of it can be just a regular day. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to jump into this idea that, oh, it's the last, this day before the holidays and there's this. It could literally just be Tuesday for you. Do you want to turn
Yeah.
up the dial on like the holiday energy, or do you want to turn it down and give yourself that permission to just be like, today, it's just Tuesday. It's not the second to last Tuesday before Christmas. It's not the last this. It's not that. It's just Tuesday. And by telling myself that in my head, my mindset, allowing myself to just take that pressure off is going to allow an ease and a mood shift and will allow you to go through your day much differently than if you are ascribing to this pressure to perform and to accomplish and to do and to complete all the things on your list. So I love that so much. Like, you decide what this day is. You decide if it's an
Yeah.
important day or if it's just a Tuesday. What do you need it to be today?
Right. The world is big. Like not everyone even celebrates Christmas. It's
Yep.
like it's I guess I'm lucky to have a very diverse patient population to help me realize that the world's bigger than what's in front of you right now.
That's right.
So yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
this is
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. And absolutely too, the idea of just giving of yourself in a small or a big way to somebody else does absolutely very quickly shift perspective.
Oh yeah,
And that
yeah,
helps so much. I
yeah.
don't know if your family does anything in particular. We just started this year, like adopting a girl for Christmas. And so you buy for that, you shop for them on what's on her list. And then you drop it off and then they get it to her. And it was just like such a special experience to be able to think outside of your own gift giving, your own family, your own people's wants and needs, and to think about somebody else who was really going to appreciate even some like really simple things. But it just gets you thinking about the world that's just bigger than your tiny family or your small community. It's really special.
Oh, you have to share with me that what you like offline, like
Yeah,
what system you use. That sounds great. That sounds like something I would love to do. So.
it's really, yeah, absolutely, really neat. And then the other thing I just saw this morning was there's a local nursing home that was looking for donations of either holiday cards or blankets or, you know, just small kind of like universally appreciated gifts, because they work at a nursing home, and they're saying that, you know, patients are just, you know, residents are just getting so much more depressed now over this
Oh
season,
God, yeah.
and so much fewer visitors can come in with COVID, and so it just seems like such a need. And so I've thought about that, how to integrate, you know, sending some gifts or holiday cards. And so for those of you listening, no matter where you are, you know, in the world, it's just, are there any, you know, local spots, nursing homes, for is one example, that you could get a little bit involved in, because there's people that can't have the visitors. There's people that are, you know, compromised health-wise and are going to have even a potentially lonelier holiday season, and we can do something small that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think all those little small things. I mean, I mean, I mean, I think that to wrap up, like happiness, like it's all the small things. It's really not anything gigantic. Those big things last 2 seconds, right? It's
They
all
really
like
do.
it's all the little things. And I think just to stay kind of excited about the little things and to think that those little things matter is key.
Yes. Well, wishing you and yours a very happy holiday season, Dr. Sarah. Thank you for
Oh,
being here
thanks, Dr.
today.
Wendy. Yeah, it was so nice to talk to you. Thanks for inviting me on.
Of course.
I'm gonna start clinic here, and
Good.
happy holidays, everyone, and much love to everybody.
You too. Have a great day, and thank you for
Yeah.
spending time
Oh, and
with us.
tell your dad I miss him.
I will let him know right now.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.